Sure. Thank you so much, Nikhil. Thank you, MCC Jaipur, for this wonderful opportunity to address your students and freshly qualified chartered accountants. Congratulations to you. You've done very well. So my name is Narendranath Nair, and I have with me my colleague Ravi Anantharamiah, who is the Vice President and Global Controller of WIPRO Enterprises. And Ravi will be taking us through the pre-placement talk, and I shall join in towards the end of it when I explain about the GFL program. Thank you for joining in. I'll hand it over to Ravi. Over to you, Ravi.
Hey, thanks, Naren. First of all, very, very hearty congratulations to, all of you. You guys have really, achieved a major milestone, in the career, and, to be successful in chartered accountancy, is not easy. Has not been easy, even for me, when I did it, probably 3 decades ago. So warm welcome, and welcome to this, the chartered accountants profession. So, and also, I welcome you, for this event, wherein we are going through and then taking you through this whole GFL programs, which is in fact one of the, I would say, best entrance level career opening for any chartered accountant to start with. So maybe Naren, if you go to the next slide out there, just to give an introduction to WIPRO. WIPRO has been a company which has a very, very rich history. So it started off just before India got independence, and just like as we are in India, aspirational and really looking forward for the growth. Even in WIPRO, even after 75 years, we are really growing, and we are looking for the growth here. It started off as Western India Products Limited. You can see the ROC certificate there, which is from Maharashtra. So it has a rich history. We just celebrated our 75 years of our formation just a few days ago. So if we move on to the next slide there, it got listed as well in the year 1947, the year in which we really got independence, and in Bombay, Stock Exchange. So that has been a major kind of an event. But if you look at, from 1947 till now, how many companies that got registered, have even now surviving, the list is not very huge. Similarly, we got listed in 2000 in NASDAQ. So that was again a major, kind of a event milestone for WIPRO. And as we go through, the next slide there, so we had WIPRO, the word WIPRO always denotes and brings into our mind the IT, right? Because IT company is so huge, is so well known, but WIPRO has a lot of non-IT business. In order to focus on the non-IT business, which is primarily brick and mortar, so which is not into the software, so we demerged our entity in 2013. This was to really give focus, because only when you focus, one can grow. The focus to the non-IT segment, which is primarily the infrastructure engineering and the consumer care products businesses of WIPRO. So if we move on to the next slide out there, what we have here is that just to introduce to you to the WIPRO Group, there are 2 pillars that you can see. On the right hand side is the WIPRO Limited, which is a listed entity, which is really running with 10 billion kind of a revenue as of now, and which is present in more than 55 countries with really 2 lakh kind of employees, and which is really one of the top 3 IT technology companies from India. And we have WIPRO Enterprises, which is really the formation company of WIPRO, which got started in 1945 with a revenue of $1.5 billion, with presence in nearly 22 nationalities and presence in around 50 countries, with around 31 manufacturing facilities across 4 continents. So this is the WIPRO Enterprise, which we are going to talk a little bit more about going forward, because the GFL program, what we are right now talking to you, is for WIPRO Enterprises, which gives it's a kind of a conglomerate. So it gives probably kind of a touch and feel multiple kind of businesses in WIPRO Enterprises. We'll just take you through that here. First one, the business is the infrastructure engineering, which has hydraulics, which has aerospace, which have additive manufacturing, which is nothing but 3D. And then industrial automation, which we call it as automation solutions, and water treatment. These are all B2B businesses, wherein you have our plants manufacturing really complicated kind of an equipment and serve the infrastructure space. Similarly, we are present in consumer care with a leading FMCG business with a lot of good, very well-known brands in the segments of personal care, home care, lighting, switches, and seating solutions. We also have joint ventures with Kawasaki and for manufacturing pumps, and with General Electric, which help us, to manufacture the CT machines, the MR machines, the ultrasound, the ECGs. And we are, our products are manufactured globally, across in 80 countries, for in all the segments that we are present. So if we move on to the next slide there, I think our global presence is highlighted in the next slide. So this is a slide which I feel is very, very important for us. The value is extremely important for WIPRO. If I were to tell you, there's an organization called Ethisphere, which every 2 years lists out top around 100 companies globally which are most ethical. So it's really an honor to be in that list, for any company. I'm glad to tell you that WIPRO is one among the 2 companies which is present in this Ethisphere's top most ethical companies across globally for a many years, from the past. So that is in fact that happens primarily because of the values, in fact, imbibed, by the organization as well as by the the entire management as well as by the employees there. If you look at we right now call them as spirit of WIPRO. If you look at it, they're passionate about client success. That is the mantra there. Treating individuals with respect, right? That is extremely important. Whatever may the issue, you may have difference of opinion, but treating with respect is very important. Be global and be responsible. So not working in a silos, just to have a broader outlook becomes extremely essential. And last but not the least is unyielding integrity, because integrity is core to any value that can be there, or that can create a culture there. So having unyielding integrity is in everything that we do is very critical. So these are the values we live by in WIPRO, and as an organization, WIPRO lives by. So this is extremely important, which differentiates WIPRO from a lot of other probably corporates that one sees today. So if we move on to the next slide out there, this is the global footprint that what we just talked about, right? And you can see the span of I think the presence of WIPRO enterprises wherever we've got factories in almost all the continents that we are talking about. So the red dots are consumer care, which is primarily, you can see them spluttering completely in Southeast Asia. Every country we have got a plant and a presence there. Similarly, as we move towards the west, we have our infrastructure engineering businesses and the plants coming in, whether it is South Africa or in US or in Africa or in South America. So you got in Europe, you got plants as well as the businesses coming in there. So this is the breadth of WIPRO enterprises presence. And just to tell you, out of our revenue of around 12,000 plus crores that was there in our last annual report, more than 50% of our revenues accrue from our international businesses. So our domestic business in India is slightly less than 50%. So that is the kind of the global nature of WIPRO enterprises, which is there, is present at this point in time, and we are growing globally, all over as we talk, at this point in time. And if we move on to the next slide, we'll probably go a little bit deeper into the businesses out here. Consumer business is nearly 75% of our total business in terms of the revenue, and we are present in personal care business, and we are leading kind of a business in the personal care segment, and a lot of, I would rather say, domestic as well as in our businesses abroad. So if we move on to the next slide, probably we'll get a little more details about the consumer business. If you look at the brands there, our whole strategy here is that to be a top 3 in the top 3 brands there. You look at the bouquet of brands which are there in India here. If you look at Santur, it's a number 2 brand in India. If you look at our brand called Chandrika in Ayurvedic segment, probably it's one of the top brands out there. If you come to the premium, you got Yardley, which is a top brand out there. Similarly, I think we got multiple personal products, personal care products which are present there, which are all the toppers in terms of their presence in the market there. So we got a lot of brands which we really manage there. And this is about India. In the next slide, we have got our brands in globally, what kind of brands what we have. So if you look at the global presence there, We got Max Clean, which is coming from Philippines, which is a top brand there. We got Also Heavenly, which is South Africa's #1 brand there. And similarly, you got Safi, which is on the right side, which is the top brand in in Malaysia, and BioEssence, which is the top brand in Singapore. So you got the kind of a top brands which are sitting across the globe there, and which are managed and which are in fact grown by the consumer care business internationally. So this is if you move on to the next page out there. So this is about our consumer care business of the personal and health, personal care, and the kind of a home care that what we have. And in the lighting, we started the lighting business quite some time back. We moved from the traditional lighting to CFL to LED, and today, if you go to the market and ask for light, the smart lights which are available, which are managed through app, probably you'll get WIPRO lights. And that is about the ones what is domestic lighting that what we have. Similarly, you go to the institutional sales, like you got lighting to be done in the stadiums and in the offices. Again, the smart lighting is a service which is offered by WIPRO, which is a major business for WIPRO. Not only that, even we offer lighting service solutions to the municipalities and the corporations as a part of our own the programs what we have with the government. So these are all the kind of services in the lighting. And as we move on to the next page there on the business, so we will move on to seating solutions. Seating solutions, this became very important for us in COVID time. You look at it, a lot of us had to order for our own homes. If you look at it, the chairs, which were ergonomically designed. So WIPRO's chair probably was one of the top chairs that got booked, through e-commerce sites whenever we were in COVID. And I think this is a solution which is really sought after now. And in terms of especially the the chairs and also the domestic kind of the furniture business there. So again, if you move on to the next, these are all the spread about the consumer care business. Now we'll move on to probably to the next page there, where we have got hydraulics. So if you see here, what is the thing that we manufacture here? If you look at the top, I do not know whether you can see a cylinder which is there slightly above that whole, the equipment which is there, the construction equipment there in the top. So they are the cylinders, and we are the largest manufacturer of cylinders, in India today. And our hydraulic cylinders power the construction equipment, which construction is growing huge in India, right? With the focus on the roads that are happening. And we also our cylinders power not only the the construction, we power our farming sector, and we also power the mining sector. So the cylinders are really huge, kind of a I would say a powerhouse that we call it as a muzzle of the industry. So we really are the muzzle, build the muzzle to the industry here. So this is about our hydraulics business, which is present in India as well as in Europe as well as in in US. So if you move on to the next item in the infrastructure engineering, that is about the automation. So in industrial automation, we are right now taking India as well as the globally. We are moving on to something called as a Industry 4.0 standards. So this is nothing but building smart factories, with the robots, with the assistance. So if you have heard about a lot of electrical vehicle manufacturers, probably their whole manufacturing shops would have been set up by WIPRO's industrial automation division. So this is the kind of industrial automation solutions we give it to industries. This is one of the growing, kind of a thing. We give this industrial automation services not only in India, but also to the leaders in Europe, in the leaders in US as well. This is about our automation. As we move on to the next one, this is additive manufacturing. In additive manufacturing, it's nothing but 3D metallic printing. We are the leaders there in 3D metallic printing. We have got a joint venture with Hindustan Aeronautics (HAL), as well as we've got partnership with Indian Institute of Science, where we manufacture the 3D parts. Some of the parts what we manufacture were also in the satellites which was manufactured by ISRO. So this is a really a nascent kind of a industry where in India we are the pioneers at this point in time. As we move on to the next page out there in the aerospace engineering, without the WIPRO's landing gear, probably every no aircraft can land. So WIPRO manufactures the landing gears and also components for the aircraft, and we are the L1 manufacturers for some of the largest aircraft manufacturers in the world. We have got facilities in India, in Israel, and in US to cater to this aerospace segment, engineering segment. And as we move on to the next page there, water treatment plant is again another, part of the major part of our infrastructure business. So we are in the water treatment. We do the water recycling, the water purification. This is again for the industry. You don't see it for the domestic, but this is one of the very, very important segment, for us in terms of the infrastructure engineering. So these are all about the business details about, WIPRO Enterprises and what does it do. It is quite a bit of, kind of a breadth that what we have here in our, WIPRO Enterprises entity. As we move on, to the next phase there, probably this is where you would be a lot more interested to know. What do we do in a finance organization? Because this is the place where we are trying to really hire, people out here. Let me start. It's a very robust organization, and as a result of which we, are completely, we want, dynamic and young, kind of a talent out here. We have a very, very active treasury, and we have gotten a treasury which manages nearly 6,000 crores worth of, the investments there. So what happens there is that, we have to really be constantly aware of what is happening in the markets in terms of the interest rates, in terms of the foreign exchange contracts, in terms of the instruments, in terms of the structuring. So that's, and also how do you really, de-risk yourself in terms of managing your, treasury, and then ensure that, yield is, given to the company. Very, very, critical, very, very, important function there managed from our global treasury. Similarly, if you come to tax, you might have also heard about a lot of companies, lot of countries give, quite a bit of incentives in the tax. So we are present in 70 entities. We are present in through 70 entities. We are present in more than 20-25 countries. Every country, what is the tax change that is happening? Where we are getting benefits? Do we need to restructure? Do we need to merge? Do we need to really do some changes? That's the kind of a planning that gets done. How do you really plan the tax? How do you manage the tax? Not only that, how do you comply with the tax regulations, which are again changing? A lot of TDS, TCS requirements are coming now. So that that is done by our the group tax team. Legal and secretarial, again, from a compliance point of view, from a structuring point of view, it's a very, very important component. And then we'll come to the business finance teams. This is really the this partners all our businesses, just know whatever I spoke about. Business finance does the analytics, does the reporting, does the MIS, puts the monthly performance analysis, also the plans and the estimates, and also the kind of partners the business in terms of getting the savings as well as to get the productivity. Very I think agile kind of a place to work with, and you need to be really constantly focused on business and what is happening in the business out there. Controllership does in fact the consolidation, because we've got 70 plus entities all over the world. We need to do consolidation, and after doing the consolidation, you need to prepare the reports and the presentation to the board as well as to the audit committee. Not only that, you need to also have the whole accounts audited there. Have a position on the accounting changes, because we have moved into Ind AS, which is IFRS, and there are new things which are coming up. Latest accounting standards, whatever are coming up. Also latest whatever the treasury does there. Probably if they start the commodity trading there, if they start the FX trading there, what is the impact on that? If tax does some kind of planning, what is the impact of that in fact on the controllership in terms of the reporting? That is done by the controllership organization. And also we have a shared services which are managed by controllership organization. Internal audit, very, very critical function for us here, because this reports to the audit committee, and completely it has a kind of oversight on the entire global our businesses there. It not only does the financial audit, it also does the operational audits as well into various aspects of our business as well as our reporting. So these are all the and our GFLs are probably there in almost all these facets, whatever I'm just now talking at this point in time. And these are the places where the projects could be there for the GFLs to enter as well as to experience. Of course, they will be guided by the mentors, or they'll be guided by the senior leaders who are experienced in the finance organizations at WIPRO Enterprises. And this is the place that which we are right now explaining to you, in fact, to join as well as to attempt in fact to enter. With this introduction on the WIPRO Enterprises, probably I'll hand it over to Naren. Naren, over to you to talk about the probably the GFL program.
So thank you, Ravi. Thank you so much for the insight into the company and the way we function and what the company's business is. So from here onwards, I'll take over and I'll take the viewers through the Global Finance Leaders Program. But before I talk about the program itself, I just spend a few minutes talking to you about why we have designed a program like this and what are the design principles behind that. If you look at your education, from starting from kindergarten right up to your CA, qualification that you've done, almost every part of the educational system is focused on getting the answer correct. I don't think you would have written any exam where you would be asked to list down a set of questions that you would ask. So our education system is based on a a mechanism of thinking called convergent thinking, where you start from a broad statement and then you keep on going deeper and deeper. And the right answer, the right marks, or the reward is for finding the right answer, not for the right questions asked, because that mechanism doesn't exist today. So what we thought is that while the first part, what you undergo as an education, is definitely very, very important, no denying that part. But what is also important is that how do we teach you to ask the right questions? And this is something that we thought will come as complementary, that along with what you bring in from your educational background to the GFL program, and what we can supplement through the different scenarios that we put into. So the first step, what we do is that when you join in, you will join into one of the departments in the finance team. That will be only for six months. In 6 months that you spend there, and why 6 months? Because a finance cycle takes about at least a quarter. Every month we have book closure, and every 3 months we have a quarter closure. So by the time you finish 2 quarters, you have 6 months. You would have seen a couple of closings, and that would give you a very solid understanding of how the function works and what are the back-end processes, what are the systems on which the financial systems process and the business processes run. So that's a grounding area. So you come in, you are settled in a place for about 6 months, where you start learning about the organization itself. And this 6 months is very critical, because this is the time when you get to learn, and you also understand the company as well, make new friends, understand the world that you have parachuted into. Post that, we increase the speed. So if you think the first part is, we're just getting into the warm-up mode on the treadmill, in the next step, what happens is that we put you onto onto projects, which are short duration projects, which are 2 by 2 in nature, 2 months project. And after the 2 months project, we put you into the next project, which is also into 2 months. And the project, why we put you into projects is that, a project requires a certain discipline. In 2 months, you are supposed to finish the project and deliver the results. And that really puts you onto a mode where you are used to working fast, and also used to thinking fast, and apply whatever you've learned till now into solving real life problems. So these 2 projects that you do over 2 months will give you a solid grounding on the company, plus the 6 months that you spend in a central role. It could be something like controllership or treasury or any one of those functions that we put you into. After the 10 months are over, let's say 10 to 12 months are over, we put you into the final role that you'll be going into. And that is typically a business role. So the way it works is that if you think of about 10 months or 12 months period, the learning will be so intense that, if you are to compare you joining with a colleague of yours who's joined another company, this 10 months would be not 10 months of experience, but at least 2 or 3 times the experience that you would get, which is to say that if you were to look at the maturity of the person who's finished 10 months in another organization versus somebody who goes through this program. So that's a thought process that we have when we design this program. Now, experience or on the job itself is not enough, because if you think that the curriculum that is defined by the CA Institute is good enough to hold you for next 25-30 years of your career, that is not true. And that's the reason why even the institute has continuing education program, and for which you have to earn CP credits and show that. What we do is that we notch this up even higher, and we take you into master classes where the master classes are on business, finance, technology, and life skills. What do these master classes mean? Let's say, take an example of finance, which I'm sure you'll be able to relate to. You would have studied taxation in the form that has been taught to you in the curriculum there. Now, our business is mostly international. 54% of our revenue comes from international business. And as such, we also have a lot of cross-border transactions. When we have cross-border transactions, it is not enough if you know only the domestic tax rules. You should know what are the issues that you can get into from a tax point of view, from a treasury point of view, from a accounting point of view. All these are important for you to be able to join the dots and tell what is the impact that a particular transaction would have. Now, what we do is that we have a person who is a tax expert who will come and speak to you, give a talk to you on that, and then followed by typically a fireside chat wherein there are questions asked, and you participate in asking questions also. But it's like a chat where we take different case rules that have happened in tax, and then and the panel would be answering that. Now, if you look at the model is very similar to our ancient education system, which was a Gurukul education system, where the guru used to speak and the shishyas used to sit and listen, and the knowledge was imparted through stories. Remember Panchatantra, Hitopadesha, any of those stories that you see, this is how knowledge has been imparted in ancient India, and we want to take a leaf of learning from there and the wisdom from our ancient Indians and bring it into our program as well. So this is one model in which we work in terms of, I just took the example of international taxation. You will have valuation, mergers and acquisition, and business accounting as well as a part of the finance program alone. But what is common across all these master classes is that at the end of it, you will need to work as a group and make a presentation to a panel. And that when you make that presentation, you solve the case study which is given to you. That case study will make you think and read, which otherwise you would not have read. So your knowledge also increases because of reading, because of solving the problem, because of working, and then having to put all these things together and presenting it to a panel of experts who are there, who would be asking you tough questions and evaluating you from that perspective on the solution that you have come up with a case study. So it's a power-packed program, which is 10 months to 1 year where you work and you get to a final role. And along with that, you also have sessions that are done, which are followed by case study, and which really pushes you to the limit. And it's something like an intense, high intensity interval training that people talk about. So it's something like that. You'll be fit as a fiddle when you come out of this program from an intellectual point of view. So that's about the program. And subsequently, I just wanted to take you through what your first 6 months would look like. And when I say first 6 months, it is first there'll be an onboarding once you're hired, and there's an induction. In the induction, we take you through the different departments that we have in the company. You'll have the leaders coming and speaking to you, explaining to you how the businesses work. And we'll also be assigning you buddies who will help you navigate through the program and also navigate through the issues that you might face when you relocate to Bangalore. And yes, we work out of Bangalore, but we also have people moving. You should be flexible to move across different locations because we have our branches and plants spread across India. So that is one of the requirements that we have in terms of working. And we work from offices. And so you'll get an opportunity to get on board, settle down, and also have somebody who has been there in the organization who can help you. Then you get assigned to after your induction is over, you get assigned to the finance function for about 6 months. The first one of the finance functions, which I mentioned earlier. And that is where you try to understand, learn, and this is where you get to know about the company better. Along with that, in parallel, you will also have master classes to build your human capital in fast track mode, because learning really never stops. You have to keep on learning. Think of the people who wrote the CA exam in 2017, July batch, and that is immediately after that they announced GST. So what they learned was on service tax. So you can't say that I learned service tax, I don't understand GST. So you have to keep on learning and keep on updating yourself and upgrading yourself. Along with the master classes, you will also have group projects and presentations which are based on the master classes that we'll be putting you through. Now, coming to the selection process, first you have to apply by registering at the given link The link has been shared across in LinkedIn and social media. I'll put it on the YouTube channel also, or ask my colleague Smita to put it on the YouTube channel, the link where you can apply for WIPRO Enterprises pre-placement program, written test program. You go there, register, you have to fill in your details. There is an online test you will be called for. If you meet the eligibility criteria, you'll be called for an online test. And post that, there will be a group discussion or an extempore speech that you will need to make based on the shortlisting you will have from the online test. Post the group discussion, you will be attending the best performers will be moving to the next stage of personal interview and technical round, and then followed by the HR round. So you'll have 2 rounds of technical interview followed by 1 round of HR interview. We'll make an offer letter once you are selected, and we will expect you to join us by mid of March. So that's the timelines that we are looking at. We would want to move really fast to get you on board. And when I say join us, it is not work from home. We expect you to be in our Bangalore offices by mid of March. Eligibility criteria: December 21 qualified CAs only, and up to a max of 2 attempts in final, both groups put together. So that's the eligibility criteria. Unfortunately, we will not be able to relax the eligibility criteria because it's a rule that we follow, and anything that we do has to stand up to scrutiny. So this is something that we follow as a rule, and that's about it. And one more eligibility criteria, which I think we've not mentioned here, is in CA final you will have to have at least 55% marks. So that's the third eligibility criteria. Now coming to the compensation, the CTC would be 11.5 lakhs per annum, and plus a 2 lakhs engagement bonus that will be paid at the end of 28 months. When you complete 28 months, you will be paid this 2 lakhs. The posting locations will be Bangalore and WIPRO branches and offices and factory locations across India. So again, flexibility is important. If the role demands you to travel, if you're an audit and you have to travel to one of our factories in Baddi, you have to go there. So that's how the learning happens. So our focus is on getting you to be future ready. Make sure that you have a very meaningful career and you are set up for success in the long term. That is what we're focusing on. So while this might sound to be very demanding, saying that you have to be in our office, you have to be flexible to work, but this is thought through, believe me, from a point of view that how do we make young professionals really, really successful? And if you look at people who have in our top management also, our CEO included, are people who have joined us from campus. So that's all I had to share with you today. And I'll just check if there are questions on the chat window and come back to you on that. I don't think there are any questions on the chat window, so I think we'll end the talk here. And Ravi, is there anything that you would like to add? Ravi, you're speaking on mute.
Yeah, probably one thing I just would like to add is as a culture in WIPRO, I think one needs to be ready 60% to get 100% responsibility. So that's a kind of a motto with that's a very, very kind of a powerful belief that what we have, it comes from our chairman HP, Mr. Azim Premji. So even if you are 60% ready, even if you are in fact have the intent and also the kind of an aspiration, then one can be given that responsibility. This is a kind of a statement and a kind of a motto and a vision that with which we really treat the employees and with which we empower the employees. So from that perspective, I just wanted to bring that aspect here, Naren. Otherwise, on the GFL program, I think it's been covered. If there is any question related with the function, I would be glad to take as well.
So there are no questions, Ravi. I think the video will be shared again to their students, and those who are interested can apply. Just that it's a tough process that we have. It is not an easy process, and that is because we want people who can make it really to leadership levels. So that's the reason why we have this process in this form. So thank you everybody for joining in and those who are watching after this. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. I'll leave both the link for registration as well as the email where you can contact us should you have any questions. So thanks, Ravi. I think we can.
Thank you.
We can log off. Sure. Thank you. Nikhil, we can stop the streaming and we'll leave now.